Hi, everyone watching VCTV, Latoken VCTV today. So I'm back on VCTV, and today we're going to discuss about the use of blockchain technology in the music industry. It's a very interesting topic, which we're going to discuss for the first time on VCTV. And today we are joined here by people who are a part of the music industry or the crypto industry as well. So let's just go straight into this very interesting discussions, because there are a lot of things that needs to be understood before we understand the benefits of the blockchain technology in the music industry. We have to understand the music industry first, how it performs, why we think blockchain technology can disrupt this industry. Because we all talk about financial services, how financial services are going to be disrupted, but not much about music. Media, movies, yes. Games, yes, but not much about music. So yes, let's have a quick round of intro first of the speakers today. So let's start with Tobias. Hi, Tobias. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks so much for having me on the VCTV today. I'm very excited about this topic, and I'm happy to give a short introduction. I'm with Blockchain Founders Fund. We're an early stage venture capital fund focusing on the blockchain space. We've actually done a couple of investments in the music space already, because there's obviously a big issue we're hopefully going to discuss very soon. And I think that blockchain is definitely one means to an end to solve that, and bring back the value where the value is being created.
Oh wow, that's good. We already have an investor who is invested in the music industry. That's lovely. Thank you, Tobias, and welcome back. Harsh, over to you.
Hey Sony, glad to be back and glad to be back of this to be a part of this amazing session. Music industry definitely needs a lot of improvement to happen, and would love to discuss that today. Just a short intro about myself. I'm Harsh Shetty. I'm a venture partner with our ventures. Work with Fortune 50 companies, unicorns. Love sales, marketing. Love to work with early stage startups. Help them raise funds and grow their business. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Harsh. Okay, next we have the co-founders of Band Royalty, Barnaby and Noble. Let's just go one by one. Barnaby, hi, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me today, Sunny. It's good to be on Latoken VCTV again. Just a bit, my background is as a technologist for over 27 years now. So I got into e-commerce back in the 90s, and I've just made my career about everything to do with finance and tech, which naturally led me into blockchain. So that's been my focus for over the last 5 years. And in that time, I was invited to go and speak at many conferences, including over at Davos and also at Harvard and Stanford. So and in those conferences, I met Noble over in Vegas at one of the blockchain conferences. We really hit it off, and that was in 2018. And since then, we've been working on different projects together. Naturally led us into NFTs. Noble has a background in gaming, etc., as well. So we've basically cut our teeth. Last year, we got into the Wax blockchain, had a lot of fun with that. Launched a gaming product there, and also with Noble's background, he'll talk about that from music. It led us into basically collaborating and launching Band Royalty, because we saw a big future for musicians using NFTs, and so that's what this year has been about for us.
Perfect. Wow. And welcome back, Barnaby, on VCTV.
Thank you.
Moving on, Noble. Hi again. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Sunny. Good to see you, Harsh. We've been on several panels with Kyle side by side, so it's good seeing familiar faces. Tobias, I haven't met yet, but I look forward to talking, sharing and talking on the panel. My name is Noble Dracone. I've been an investor for almost 30 years. I've written 7 books on trading and investing, Forex futures, options. My last 2 books were published by Wiley & Sons, Winning the Trading Game and Trade Like a Pro. And during that time, I actually started my first music label with my cousins back in 1998. And we had our first press and distribution deal with Mercury. At the time, it was Private Eye Mercury, and then Mercury was bought out by Universal. And in that time, for the last 20 years, I've supported and invested in musicians all along the way, from advances to buying into royalties from writers. And I think what a lot of people confuse and really don't understand about the music industry is that every song is almost like a mini movie production. There's over 10 different players in each different song. And so when people see a performer actually perform the song, they may be of one of many people. They may be that have creatively created the song and the feel and the idea of how the song is evolving. There could be 2 to 3 writers. There could be a producer. There's the engineers who level the song. And so all along the way, we realized that the people who are getting seen the most are the performers, but the music industry in and of itself, as for the most part, has been ignored. And that's not even including the people who are just hired as work for hire to perform the music in the background and may have been prolific musicians on multiple songs that we all love, but basically have no retirement. There's no money out there for them at all. And so when we created the Band Royalty Project, the goal was to create something that's for the music industry, not just performers, not just for the flash, but for the industry, and to develop both an exchange, a token system, a governance system that really gives everyone along the path in the music industry an ability to not only express themselves through NFTs, but to have their own ecosystem. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to talk about it today.
Wow, great. Thank you, Noble. I really want to know more about the music industry's issues, use cases in terms of blockchain adoption. And let's start with Tobias, who is also invested into the space. Let's just start with Tobias first. Hi, Tobias. I would like to start with you because you just mentioned, because I wasn't aware that you've been already invested into in the music space. So can you just tell me, like, what exactly have you done in the space and which companies are there? These, if you can disclose.
Absolutely can disclose. So, we are very early stage venture capital fund focusing more or less exclusively on companies who are using the blockchain technology to solve problems, right? And very early on, we ought to sort of understood that the challenge with the music industry, what it's developing, is obviously that the person who is creating the music, right, which is technically the artist, is not getting much of the cake, right? And that got even worse with streaming services, right? But even within streaming service in itself, there's a challenge, right? So we kind of need to break down blockchain and music to different angles, right? Because we have a company, for example, that was our first investment in the music space. It's called BeatDap out of the US. Mm-hmm. What they're doing, they're using blockchain to audit streaming services. The streaming services actually have a big issue, and it's very hard to detect for like Spotify or Apple Music and all these guys, just because the gap between reported streamings and actual streamings is actually quite huge. And there are firms out there, and even like a lot of fraud attempts to make your streams appear better than they actually are, right? Because you earn with every stream, or at least on a fractional basis, you can earn more money. And they're using the blockchain technology to bring more transparency and more audibility into that space. And that's actually, I don't know exactly the numbers, but it's a multi-$100 million problem. And it's happening more than we think in all these key markets. So that's like the first investment, right? And then since last year, when the NFT space was obviously growing and the crypto space was getting much more hyped, we thought NFT is definitely an interesting way to reward artists. And I would even go that far that I think in 10 years from now, every single ticket, every single sort of fan accessory you're going to buy is going to be an NFT. Because with any transactions or any further transactions, your artist essentially will be rewarded again. And that's where the blockchain technology is coming from. That not just like with one stream or one sale of a CD, you essentially get rewarded, or one ticket sale, that you can actually like use that to get very close to your fans, very close to your community, and actually build that community on a steady basis while still being rewarded from all that was coming from the community. And I think these are very interesting topics where blockchain can help, but it's still important that you always figure out a sustainable business underlying, because only the technology itself won't cut it.
Right. So how many $1 billion problem to solve? Sorry, did I hear?
No, it's so the problem, we joined, I don't know if you're familiar with Bjorn from ABBA, but Band Royalty is aligned with them. And one of the issues they talked about, there's almost a $50 million a year gap between what is reported and what is
Exactly.
received from the writers. And so we actually support Bjorn's initiative at ABBA. We have a link on his website, and we're really trying to explore and explain what's going on. The problem is people don't understand how their musicians make money, right? They don't
Yeah.
understand mechanical licensing. They don't understand sync licensing. They don't understand publishers' rights. They don't understand writers' rights. So when we set out to create band royalty, what we did was we created a project that would turn fans basically into music moguls, in which we were educating them from day one to understand how a musician makes money, and then how we separate the industry from just being a monolithic of Sony, Warner Brothers, and Universals being not only the distribution, but basically the gatekeepers to turning the fans into a fan artist collaborative. So while we love projects that are focused on the reward system and giving people tickets and fan tracking, one of the things we wanted to do was really create an opportunity for fans to share in the income and the wealth with their artists. Yes, someone like Tory Lanez, who sells 1 million records within minutes by selling one at a time, basically becoming a platinum artist. But at the same time, because the fans are now the distribution model, they could buy 50, 100 records at a time. They also have the opportunity to be resellers and earn at the same way a distributor would. And while the method is crude, we applaud the idea that fans need to be integral. So what we did is we bought a performance rights catalog from day one when we established this project, and said, look, what you guys don't understand is that you can buy these royalties almost like baseball cards. And so we have songs in our catalog performed by Justin Timberlake, Beyonce, Jay-Z. We've got Rihanna on songs. And it's because people don't understand how this industry actually works, that there's always this one idea that is the performance side that matters. But to be honest, the performers are one of many. It's funny. The song that Whitney Houston is famous for, "I Will Always Love You," she made hundreds of millions of dollars in performance royalties. She never wrote it. Dolly Parton was the one who wrote that song and built Dollywood because of Whitney Houston's performance. And because if fans had invested or owned a percentage of that song, "I Will Always Love You," the amount of capital that would go back to them would be phenomenal. You look at a TV show like Jeopardy, which is syndicated worldwide, and it's based on sync licensing. And the song was written by an American produced TV show host called Merv Griffin. And he actually wrote the jingle for his son to put him to sleep. That jingle has generated the Merv Griffin estate, I think, up to this date, over $40 million plus because Jeopardy is syndicated worldwide and he receives $8.50 per play. If fans were participating in that, or who love Jeopardy, or who were investing in music, they would be generating in those sync. And so our approach has always been really behind the curtain, is to teach fans what's happening behind the curtain, how money is being made. And so we're using our token system and our tokenomics in order to help fans not only participate in that income stream, but also go the next level, because as our tokens, we know royalties only produce so much, but our tokens also have the opportunity to become currency to buy more catalogs, invest in more projects, create new artists, be A&R in development. In the 90s and the 2000s killed the A&R department in almost every record label, so that actually artists have to go on YouTube to be discovered. Well, what if you could actually have the fans become the A&R department? So for us, we really are working on creating a fan artist record label, and that's something that's never been done before. And so we love projects that deal with the forward-facing side of the industry. Our project is 100% behind the scenes, royalties, A&R development, acquisition of sync licensing rights, and really digging deep into the music industry at its core. And it's a big order. Most artists don't even understand how they make money. Everyone keeps talking about streaming, but they don't even understand how to do sync licensing and get their music in movies. They don't understand how mechanical rights work. They don't understand how to take a song that they've written and then have someone cover it in another country and play it. And this is not new. I mean, the artists along the way have been exploited for the last 100 years in this industry. streaming just became another function of that same exploitation. It was the jukebox before, and now it's Spotify. It's the same scenario where the exploitation is happening. I come from a long line of family that's been in the music and the entertainment industry since the late 1800s, when they were doing vaudeville and etc. So there's been a huge exploitative component to the music industry for a long time. And I don't think it's always intentional, but when we look at 100, we look at a time where streaming's producing $17 billion, and the artists, and when I say artists, I'm talking about the writers, the producers, and engineers, have only 1.7 billion to share, between 10 and 12%. We know that there's a broken function, and it's not just the people we see, it's all the cast members behind the scenes that are being ignored as well. And so the writers are really behind too.
There's also a disproportion, unfortunately, with many of the smaller acts, many of the independents. It doesn't actually even pay out per play. You often get these actually larger allocations being paid out to the top musicians. And so that's, there's just not that kind of, one-for-one accounting, as you were saying, Tobias, about, basically being able to, one of the huge benefits of the blockchain would be wouldn't it just be great if there was a fair, pay per play? But that's not even happening. So the whole thing is kind of shady deals in the back room, maybe not intentional, but basically if you've already made it to the top, hey, I'm sure, they're doing great. And that's why we also bought our catalog, including Beyonce, Jay-Z, et cetera. But we really are actually interested in how can we elevate the earnings of all the artists, even the ones who've got because even if an artist has 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers, I mean, that's still doing great. They can make a great living off that. And wouldn't it be great if they had a platform which they could monetize and do direct? Because things have changed a lot with the tech. I mean, I know this is pretty obvious. You can get your own followers up there on Instagram, YouTube, etc. Why do you really need that label as the middleman? And so the whole point of blockchain and crypto is to be disruptive of the middleman. And so the middlemen have been milking the whole industry the last 100 years, as Noble was saying. Wouldn't it be great to have that direct connection and let the fans also in on the earnings? So every song actually is that asset. It's the golden goose that pays out everybody. So the more it plays, the more everybody earns, including the artists who produced it. And one other thing that I just got to throw in is we're talking a lot about the metaverse as well. So Tobias, to one of your points about, the disruption going further and further and buying tickets. Well, now we're seeing, musical events happening in the metaverse. I mean, Fortnite, this shoot 'em up game, you've now got massive concerts happening over there. And so this whole new domain, I mean, it's becoming a big term, the metaverse, but really the metaverse is actually a whole lot of different silos at the moment. It's not really, there is no metaverse. It's like, all these different intranets. But once again, we also see a lot of potential with that. We'd love to see fans participating at, virtual concerts, etc. And that'll be another part actually of the whole band platform, is basically giving further access to that, because we see it's already happening. Wouldn't it be great if there was a go-to place? And the cool thing is, this is also new, that nobody has claimed this. There is no go-to for music on blockchain. There will be, as you were saying, Tobias, there will be in this decade, but who's going to be that? When's that going to happen? That's still up for grabs. And obviously,
yeah. And there's a lot of components, and that's monopolized. But just Tobias was talking about finding the money in the music and the difference. But one thing that's odd, right, is that Spotify is in 186 countries, and there's no PRO in the majority of those countries. And a PR is basically a public rights organization that collects the funds.
Good point.
And
yeah.
We found that there's more money that's completely non-discovered because there's no PROs, and the metadata is not listed. Companies like Hypnosis are killing in the industry because they literally are just refiling and doing the metadata properly for songs. So there's so many ways for people to succeed in the industry, and our goal at Band Royalty is to put those in the hands of the fans. The fans get access to it. They get a chance to use our tokens, our governance tokens, our NFTs, our upcoming metaverse, to become capable of being on the same par as the Warner Brothers and the Universals and the BMGs, and sharing the income. And I think that's really where the industry has to go. The fans are the community, the artists, the writers, the producers. They need to have an outlet to be able to sell their songs and turn them into NFTs, and producers need to be able to put their tracks up and let anybody buy them and track the metadata. That's what we've created at Band Royalty.
Right. I think Tobias wanted to say something, but before that, just quickly from Harsh. Harsh, what's your remarks? What's your take about the use cases on for music industry when it comes to cryptos, comes to blockchain technology?
Correct. So definitely the most important element which I see, as Banavi pointed out, pay to play, right? So there's a concept called pay per view or pay to play. Essentially, what that means is you kind of track each and every use case which happens, right? With blockchain, that would become extremely easy because, as you see, the blocks are immutable, right? You can track that quite easily, and also you can kind of track who are the participants kind of creating the song. In India, there is a very pernicious problem where essentially the singers and the music directors, they get a lot of credit for creating the content, but the songwriters, the lyricists, and a lot of other players, the instrument players in the background, they virtually are unknown and unnamed players, right? So thing is, the only the people who are kind of showing it, they get all the credit, and the people behind the scenes, they've played an instrumental role. Just for example, look at AR Rahman, right? Everyone in the world knows who AR Rahman is, but no one
Yeah.
knows the musicians who play for AR Rahman and the kind of work that they do. That is why MCU did a very interesting thing where they put a small 30-minute teaser to the next film at the end of the credits, but everyone goes through the entire credits because the idea is that there are lots of other moving parts which are there in music industry, filmmaking industry, which don't get the credit that they deserve. That is exactly why it's extremely important to kind of ensure that they get those rights. Just to kind of give you a parallel example, in the boxing world there was a Muhammad Ali boxing reform commission which was set up about 2 decades back, if I'm not wrong. Prior to that, the boxers were exploited a lot, and it was used to be these producers like the Dons and those guys who used to kind of get most of the money. Mike Tyson has known quite aggressively, to kind
Yeah.
of how he was screwed by Don King. So that is essentially what used to happen, where those guys was there, and that's when Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Commission was set up to ensure that the boxers get the fair pay. Right now, the Paul brothers are trying to do the same in the UFC space, trying to get those UFC fighters opportunities to get the biggest paydays. So that is exactly this is needed in the music industry as well. Kind of expand the opportunities, because it's not just the performer on the stage. Lots of people in the back as well who need to get the opportunities to make a lot of money, which who are not getting the attention or the respect that they deserve. Quite honestly.
Wow, that's a great point. Yeah.
Absolutely, Harsh. I would say that most people just don't understand any of this. So, when people are listening to Spotify, they're thinking, oh, those musicians are making bank. They're doing great. The people who are part of that, when you tell them, when you break it down, that they're getting 1/100th of a penny per play, and somebody got 40 plays and they're getting $1,000 or $2,000, nobody has any idea about that. It's very sad. And so there's a disconnect with the audience. The audience is thinking this is working, and
Yep.
they don't.
Yeah, when you look at Pharrell, I mean, Pharrell had to sue. The reason why things have even changed, Pharrell does 100 million, downloads of his music and gets like a $2,000 check after everything is said and done. This was a
Wow.
huge controversy. And he goes, "Wait a minute, is streaming working? Here I am doing 100 million." And mind you, he's in a 360 deal, and the music company is getting part of it. But at the end of the day, you're getting a few thousand, maybe 6,000 for your streaming, and you've got 100 million downloads of your song "Happy." How does that work? So we realize that the industry itself has to change. There, when I did my first music contract, there were things such as breakage and amount of how much music and CDs we were going to give away to places. And the scary part is that that's still written in today's contracts, and no one still sells CDs or cassettes. Right? You have people who are signing what's called 360 deals, and they're giving up their part of their merchandise, 50% of their merchandising, 25% of their concert, all this money so that they can get an advance. And then the recoupable is this: we were giving you the $1 million advance, and we spend $10 million to make you popular. You owe us out of your $1 million everything, and yet we keep 85% of the money. Like, how is this business model continuing in this way? That not only are you taking the bulk of the money, but everything that you spend on me, I have to recoup back to you. And now I'm broke. This is why TLC on their first album sold multi platinum, and they had no money at the end of the day. Everything they spent, they literally were broke on a multi platinum album that made them famous, because everything was recoupable that they spent. The limo that they used, the award show, if they got dressed by designers, And so these things that have been functioning in the music industry don't work. And a lot of people who have become YouTube famous and become YouTube stars and started music careers, it's great that they've done great in streaming, but then they don't know how to tap into the mechanicals. They don't really fully know how to tap into the publishing. They don't really fully know how to tap into the sync licensing. And so they've left a lot of money on the table. And so the goal of Band Royalty has always been to create a haven for the fans to understand how their musicians make money and to realize who they really are liking. Are they liking the person singing it, or are they liking the songwriters and singing, having a chance to buy the songwriters' music directly as NFTs, or the songwriters being able to put up songs and maybe expose themselves to new audiences, right? If they write a song in the US, we love K-pop. K-pop's the greatest music ever. But to be honest, it's all late 1990s R&B. K-pop is a derivation of that. And so we look at this and we look at how everything has become cross-border, and we need to give everyone the ability to work together and the fans to be part of that capital and collaborative effort.
Got
Thank
it.
you. Thank you,
Just
Noble.
just one point I would like to add here. If this kind of process is democratized, Noble kind of mentioned the amount of money that these the private labels make, right? If something can be added over here to kind of truly democratize that, this could be as phenomenal a moment as Amazon did with books, right? Originally all these big publishers like Wiley's, HarperCollins, they had a vice grip on the publishers, right? They would decide which books would make it to the shelves. With this, if we democratize the entire thing, the entire market opens up and the market explodes. The earlier book market used to be a few $100 million. Now it is a multi-billion-dollar market because of what Amazon did. It could completely open up and explode the entire music industry and give us a lot more new budding artists which we haven't even seen across till date.
Thank you, Harsh. Thank you.
And that's why we need our own token to do it, Harsh. The reality is people look at, people ask us, why do you have a royalty token? Why do you have a governance token? Why are you doing NFTs? And yes, we could actually try and do this on Ethereum. We could try and do this on Bitcoin. We could try and do this on Litecoin, but we had to create a walled garden ecosystem that basically allowed both our royalty token, our governance token, which can only be received through our NFTs, to start setting up the stage that protected the artists that came into our walled garden and allowed them to start evolving in a way that freed them from the current system. That's not to say that we won't use or interact with other token systems and cross bridges. Our NFT exchange is already built on Matic. We're talking and we're going to be expanding out to Wax and EOS. We already have an Ethereum bridge. But the goal is to start allowing literally the only music token necessary is the royalty token, and start letting this be the music industry token that people start sharing and trading amongst each other, amongst the writers, amongst the producers, amongst the band people, and allow them to be on our exchange in a whole different way. Can you imagine if you're a session guitarist and you create an NFT and you basically pre-sell your time as an NFT on our platform? How far would that go if you were the guitarist for White Snake or Rage Against the Machine, and you pre-sold your session time as an NFT utilizing our royalty token or NFT system on our exchange? You could end up being on someone's album in India, in Singapore, or whatever, and you start expanding the ecosystem. People just don't. What we created is not just for the artists. We love the artists, we love the performers, but what we focused on was creating an ecosystem for the music industry professionals that Harsh is bringing up, that are just ignored and are stuck in these little teeny silos, not being fully appreciated. If you have these great musicians from around the world being able to cross share their time as NFTs, or us being a chance to give them royalty tokens so they can actually have money now and not have to wait every quarter or every 8 months before they receive their royalty check from a PRO, we are actually creating a system and an ecosystem that starts feeding people today. The reason why most musicians and writers and everyone gets frustrated is because it can take most PROs, it can take, after you register and your first song comes out, it can take 8 months before you receive a royalty check. But yet your bills come monthly. How does that work? But you can come to someone like Band Royalty and have a chance to pre-sell your royalties as NFTs. Or maybe you don't want to wait 10 years to collect $200,000. and you can become part of our ecosystem to start utilizing our tokens and our governance tokens and our NFTs to basically feed you and your family today and not wait so long. So there's a lot of moving parts that allow, and especially with blockchain, that allow musicians to benefit now and not wait so long for the royalties to kick in, and to be able to pre-sell their services and open their skills up to a wider audience. So we're really excited, and the fans get a chance to participate. There's even a way for fans to, with us, we've designed it, fans get and receive part of the revenues and income stream that the exchange creates. So our whole goal is to let the fans realize that they can be collaborators in the success of the music industry and not always be stuck on the outside.
Right. Thank you, Noble. Let's just ask the investor now. Tobias, I just wanted to know from you, what kind of questions would you have if the co-founders of Band Royalty were to pitch before, to the Blockchain Founders Fund? So what sort of questions gonna come their way from you as an investor?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's a couple of things we typically are very interested in. Like I said in the very beginning, although we're a blockchain focused fund, we still want to see underlying working businesses who solve a problem, right? Just the idea of having a blockchain component towards a business is unnecessarily like, the perfect pitch in itself. So for me, it's always very interesting of understanding, first of all, the founder's background, right? If you're in the music industry, and I think that's what sort of Noble has been proven, and Barnaby as well, that you need to understand the space yourself, right? You need to understand how money is being made. You need to understand, have the connections be plugged into the ecosystem. And that's obviously what we want to see founders to really understand what in the space they're operating in. The second thing that's interesting is always from us, from a go-to-market perspective, right? Working in this ecosystem is very fragmented. There's a lot of players in the ecosystem. And understanding sort of where to start, what are my early adopters for such a platform? How do we get there? And how do we target them? And of course, we want to do that without killing our unit economics and still having some reasonable numbers on the side and not burn too much money. And then, of course, since it's a token component, I obviously want to understand all the the metrics around the token. How is it used? What's the use case for it? And then from an investor perspective, it's obviously important. Are you guys raising on equity or token? Is there an equity structure? Is it going to be sort of operated as a DAO at some point in time? And I think it's important, especially on a token raise, for example, right? I mean, I think the key thing here is really using that token to get players in who can actually drive users, right? Who can drive the platform, and not just pure from a financial investment perspective. I mean, obviously that's a goal, don't get me wrong, but getting people, strategic people in the token, right? Who can also go out and do the advertising for you, who are plugged into the ecosystem. And that's maybe very specific investors in the music space, right? Where you maybe don't want to have someone who is a traditional investor doing all sorts of things, where you probably want to have someone who is more plugged into the ecosystem, who can bring you brands, who can bring you artists, or even can bring you in the right direction of the community, right? Because the token also works with the community, because it's not just artist-sided, right? If there's no community on the platform, no artists within the platform, and vice versa. So I think it's key to figure out all these sort of questions behind that. And that's like questions I would do. And then there's a bunch of stuff we do in the backside, which is more like our type of research and the diligence process. But I think that's kind of covering what we would look at and what we're interested in.
Great.
No, those are all great questions. And one of the cool parts is that, we're also investors too. And so we've teamed up with Trubify as an investor, and we brought them in. We're right now working with Billy Dorsey's project, which is a famous producer. And the fact that he's teamed up with the Salvation Army to put out a unique NFT album. And so we our whole focus is to create a robust ecosystem that is both fan and artist oriented. We've got 30,000 people in our telegrams. And we're still developing, and this is what's unique about the space, is that for us, we've taken on a large task. We've taken on the role of being educators for both musicians and fans to understand how money is made in the industry, because up to this date, most people really don't know. It's behind the curtains. It's a secret. And so that's been unique. But in that case, we still sold over $800,000 of our $1,000 of our NFTs. We pre-sold over $200,000 of our tokens. and we have done this in a private way. We haven't even gone out to the public. And in that instance, we've constantly reinvested in the technology to improve both our messaging and our concept. And I think we're getting there. You know, we're all walking on new ground, and we're all trying to do really high disruptive things. And for us, the goal is to just make it as exciting, but as also as practical as possible. Being an older founder, you know, I'm not a 30 something or a late 20 something. I've been doing business since I was 17, so going on almost 30 years. I've had the experience of having successful businesses and failed businesses. So it's been very exciting to see this project evolve organically and how well it's been received by everyone, and them getting, and when the light bulb clicks, and Barnaby can attest to this, when the light bulb clicks as to what we're developing and how we're looking to reshape the music industry, the people who get it, and the ones who don't get it, they'll catch up with us eventually.
I think, yeah, that's great, Noble. And Tobias, to address just some of those sort of core points that you were bringing. As Noble said, we've grown our community over 30,000 people in Telegram and on Twitter. It's very active. We sold over $1 million of our tokens. We're self-funded, so there's no other actual investors. It's just me and Noble. We're building out our teams, and worldwide, people in different countries are working with us. We bought an asset, so we actually have a music catalog, over 50 platinum selling tracks, pretty much, including Timberlake, Timberland, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Cher, etc. So having that asset behind us, we did that basically just to, put a line in the sand and say we've actually got something, and we're going to keep growing that music catalog. That was just the first one. So our Noble's got the contacts in the industry to basically expand that music catalog for us. And so the more capital we get, the bigger the catalog gets. And then also we're launching our NFT, our music NFT focused platform marketplace, where people, that's built. We're about to push that out. So we're self-funded. We've got a platform that's about to come out for any musician to start launching their NFTs. We're about to build a collaborative site where visual artists and musicians can collaborate to produce the NFTs to then launch on our marketplace. And we've also got our music catalog that you can earn a royalty stream on from our NFTs. So that's where we are right now. We've actually got all that done. So we don't even necessarily need any additional capital. That's actually all happening.
What I like about this is that you guys just a quick thing, Noble. Because what I like about this is essentially, what I like about this is that you're going away from like the pure underlying obvious value creation in the music business, right? What blockchain allows you is adding different revenue streams towards that, what hasn't been possible before, right? Creating NFTs out of collectibles, out of, interesting music moments, for example, interesting things which we were not able to monetize before in that regard, right? And I think what's gonna, in my opinion, gonna cut it, I could be wrong, but that you kind of combine these different revenue streams and like give them back what they deserve, but not just from royalties or streaming, what is the obvious way. There's so many other engagements which blockchain offers and NFT space offers that you can that you can monetize essentially on all that intellectual property you put out there, but in not the obvious ways, right? And that's what I think the NFT space makes it so valuable. And that's why I mentioned at the very beginning that you will have fan cards on a chain, right? You will have entry tickets involved in that. You will probably have collectibles as well, of course. And then the whole metaverse will play in and things like this, right? There's so much potential for that.
I will throw this in, and so our next series of NFTs that are coming out, because that's already been built too. We've already done it. So one of the things, we're builders, right? We create stuff. So our next series of NFTs is actually going to be a series of NFTs that are going to be similar in the loot fashion, where people can create their own bands. But we actually have already built our own metaverse layout for the next phase of this project, where you'll be able to create and do lands. So the thing is, we when we created this project, we didn't need to take the money and spend it on ourselves. We were already making money in crypto. We turned around and reinvested everything we've brought in so far and built the project. And so our projects got so much robustness and so many different angles that as the token comes out, anyone who owns a token is going to get such a value add that they have no idea. And so when our next series of NFTs come out and we're ready to launch them the first part of the year, right after the exchange launches next month, we're going to release the next series, and it's going to be 88. It's going to be an opportunity. I think it's for 8,888 NFTs that are going to be explosive in a whole entire metaverse where you'll be able to be the musician. So for us fans who, me, I play the piano. I'm horrible at it. My kids play violin and piano and trumpet. They're far better than I am. But me being a musician fan, now I get a chance to be a musician through the NFT card series that's about to come out next. And we'll be able to be in the metaverse. And then the great part is we'll be able to collaborate with real musicians. We'll be able to get the songwriters that we're bringing in, and the producers, and the etc., and make music for these fictional bands that we're creating. So you guys have no idea the metaverse we're about to bring to the table, but it's going to be very interesting. And it's not just serving what has been, but the future of music. If anybody has ever heard of the term of Vocaloids, then you have to realize that holographic characters, Vocaloids, music is not going to be just performers that we know and see, but it's going to be definitely performers that are manufactured. And we believe that band's going to be leading the forefront of that pretty soon.
Essentially, following on from what Noble was saying, Tobias and Harsh, we want to provide the building blocks. So this new NFT series is going to be, it's just like Loot. Basically, it's got these characteristics, and anybody will be able to take that metadata and build out their own NFT series on top. So it'll be like a foundation layer, and then it integrates with our Metaverse map layout of all the different types. So we've got 33 types of music genres that are in our land that we're creating. That then this base layer of NFTs that you'll be able to generate your own NFT series on top of, and then we have our own NFT series that plugs into that you earn the royalties on, and then we have the NFT exchange. So then anybody can come and build out a band that they want, and basically start plugging into these different aspects wherever they want to participate. And so we think that'll be a lot of fun, and it's very innovative. We're not seeing anybody else do something quite like this, but we're certainly, and also it's moving in the direction of a DAO, to address your other point. So myself and Noble, for many reasons, we don't want to, at the moment, yes, obviously we're curating and we're the captains of the ship, but we want to build this out as a community. That's why we've got a governance token. And so essentially, there's going to be very few of those. So there's a small number of the governance tokens, and they come from basically you stake the NFTs, and then they produce the governance tokens. And then whoever has the most of those, essentially they have the say over the direction of what music catalogs we're buying, etc. But this is still everything's in progress. So we love getting criticism, we love getting feedback. We want to make this the best for everybody, and because nobody's built this out yet. So yeah, Tobias, please.
But can I only get governance token then through staking, or can I also? How does that work?
Well, you buy
it's a combination of it, tapping into liquidity pools, doing the staking, but there's not going to ever be a sale of our governance tokens directly.
That's what I mean.
It's meted out over the course of 4 years. So if you control any of because there's 12,000 NFTs total that will be allowed to stake for governance tokens. So if you control the 12,000, of course, then you're going to get the majority of the governance tokens being curated back to you. But there's also going to be opportunities to do liquidity pools, staking NFTs with tokens, and doing royalty tokens, etc. So all of that will allow the governance token to be produced. But the contract is only way to get governance tokens will be through the staking, because we wanted to bit by bit give everybody a chance. We want the fans to get a chance to be able to participate. We want fans to have a say. We want artists to have a say. If we just sold them, then whales come in and are the only ones who buy in and don't control the governance. We really just want this to be fan, artists, and we want the investors, they can buy as many NFTs as they want. But the goal is to allow as many people to have equal footing, to have a say in the development of the first ever artist fan music collaborative label. And, we signed a deal. The funny thing is we signed a deal with my buddy Rob, Who Mag Magazine. They have a distribution for music through Sony Orchard. So once we start producing albums, we'll actually be able to produce and distribute through them, in addition to distributing online. Because we don't, people try and confuse the message. We believe that you need the Sonys, you need the Orchards, you need the Warner Brothers, you need all these major labels, because they build artists, they build music, they make the machine work. but there's also that in between where the people get lost. And Harsh said it, the studio musicians, the writers, there's a lot of people along the way that are not being continuously built that need an outlet. And we hope that what we've built at Band will be an outlet for everybody, not just the performers, but for everyone else along the creative process in a song. The average song takes 10 people to make it, and nobody knows any of them except for the performer. And how does that work? How do those people eat? How do they take care of their families? And we hope that we're able to give an outlet to them.
Got it. So, Noble, one point regarding the governance token which you mentioned, right? Is there a way to kind of limit, the number of governance token one person can earn? Because if there's one guy who owns like 40%, 50%, has the majority of the governance tokens to the staking process, right? Don't you think he would have too much of an overwhelming influence and kind of take away the democracy part of it? It would be better if it is more democratic and more people have an opportunity to get the access to that, right?
Definitely, Harsh. So we're open to all this kind of feedback. We don't want that sort of thing to happen, because I mean, essentially, what could happen if that was to happen was that, because there could be a large fund to be buying music catalog, expanding that. What if one of those musicians comes and buys up all the governance, and then they just have everybody buy their music, for example?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, we don't.
So now what's also interesting is that we've metered out the governance token over the course of 4 years. So there's going to be 6 million tokens that are bit by bit metered out over the course of the 4 years to be a full conversion into DAO. So I'll be honest with you, if someone's waiting for the full 4 years to get 50% of the governance tokens, they may actually believe in the project, and they might be the right people to have 50%. So, there's a mixture in there of, I agree with you that we could be concerned, but you can't get all the governance tokens in year one. You can't get them all in year two. And if someone is committing to our project for the 4 years, because we're on an 8-year timeline for how we designed this project, if someone's committed for 4 years to earn 50% of the tokens, that might be actually a great partner to see evolve in this space. So I'm not overly concerned, but I do believe that we're making it as easy as possible for anybody to get the NFTs to get the access to generate governance tokens. You can stake for 90 days to 5 years and earn as many governance tokens as possible with one of our NFTs. Mm-hmm. So we tried to build in a little bit of safeguards along the way. But Harsh, we know we can't control every whale. We can't control every opportunity. There's, people talk about how great Bitcoin is, but there's only 10,000, 10,000 accounts control majority of Bitcoin, and yet it's still going crazy sky high. So there's only so much we can do, and we're just doing our best with the information we have.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Harsh, you had a question on the royalty tokens, remember? It's in the pitch deck, right?
Yeah. So I wanted to understand the tokenomics a little better, how exactly the tokens are kind of operating. And fundamentally, so you mentioned the users will get access to the royalties, right? So how exactly would that work? As in, how exactly if someone buys a token from the La Token Exchange, right? If say I buy a couple 100,000 tokens, whatever, how will that work? How will I be able to get royalties? And how is the entire economy structured? If you could share some light on that.
So basically, at the moment, the royalty tokens are used in our NFT platform. That's going to be the means of actually trading the NFTs. We also have coming out a full.
Barnaby, just one clarification. When I meant royalty tokens, I did not mean the company royalty. What I was referring to is the royalty payments, right? So if I buy the tokens, and Noble was mentioning this point, right? That if you buy the tokens and you join the ecosystem, you'll be enabled to get royalty payments for the tokens that you have. How exactly would that structure work?
I understand. I'm addressing that. And I get it's a little bit complex, but the industry is quite complex. So eventually, these royalty tokens will be used, to your point, for the musicians to be trading the royalties that they're producing. We're going to build out a blockchain system. This has not been done yet. This is quite complicated. So eventually, on our roadmap and in our white paper, we have a 63-page, very highly detailed white paper that goes into how all of this will work in great detail, kind of overwhelming detail. So we've mapped it out there. So what will happen is that the musicians, they would be working on the blockchain, issuing their royalties and being able to trade their songs. All of that will happen with the royalty token, the RYLT token that we're selling. But that part hasn't been built yet because that's quite complicated. What we're starting off with is our NFT marketplace. And on the NFT marketplace, where musicians can come and create NFTs, they will be trading them. They'll be able to people will be able to buy and sell the NFTs using the royalty token. Now, in the meantime, there's a bit of a gap between while we do have our marketplace, which has been built, that's built, and we're about to push it live. And when we have the full music royalty platform, there's a gap there. And in the meantime, yes, the musicians themselves, they could be, if they wanted to, they could be paying out the royalty tokens on those NFTs that they've produced. So that's what, this is one of the core functionalities, is that the royalty token becomes the means for a musician to pay out royalties to the participants who are buying their NFTs. But that'll be up to them. But so its fundamental use is going to be as the royalty currency for payments on music rights, essentially. And at the moment, we are launching with our NFT marketplace. But I just want to pause that part of it because we also have our music catalog. And the music catalog, you access that through the NFTs. And how you earn on those royalties there is with our governance token. And we've had to create that separation between those two. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, to an extent it did. Probably will have to go through the white paper in much more detail to kind of understand the mechanism of that. That should not be a problem. One more question which I had was the content which you mentioned you already did, right? That was one of the questions which I had, as in, do you already have some content which is licensed for use or not? So the license, is it exclusive with you guys, or it's with multiple players as well? How is that working?
So the music catalog that we purchased, essentially we don't have we own the rights, the performance rights. It's a performance right. It's quite nuanced and complicated, the way that the whole royalty industry works. And so essentially we have the right, every time those songs play, we earn on them every quarter. And if you look at the list of tracks, I've already mentioned the musicians who are there. Like one of them is Justin Timberlake's Mirrors song, for example. It's had almost 1 billion plays on YouTube, that particular song. Okay, so every time that plays, we earn on that. That's the performance catalog that we have. And so, but we're not exclusive. That's not to say that there are other participants. You know how we were saying there could be up to 10 participants in every song. They can also be earning because they might be having there's so many different rights to every song. But we own the performance rights on those. And we even show the contract of sale that we have purchased that up on our website, bandroyalty.com.
All right. So when you say performance rights, as in, would you say that another music label also has the rights and even they get a percentage of the royalties as well? Is that what you're alluding to?
Other people are earning on the songs, yes,
No,
because
so
there
other
are
people. So I meant other non-performers, as in not like the writers, the performers. I'm not talking about that. I'm asking, is a company like a music label, like something like I'm not sure the music labels in the US, but is a music label also making money out of that?
Yes, they would be, because they also have essentially Justin Timberlake, for example, like we own a lot of the performance rights to his songs, but the music label is also a participant in that. So we have a slice. We have a slice of the revenue coming from those songs. And basically, BMI and ASCAP, the two major music royalty companies, are managing. They basically manage all the distribution, all that. They're counting all the plays. They're doing all of that. That's how BMI and ASCAP. So they are the ones who make the payments out. So they have to track all the plays of every song, and they see all the participants who've got a share of the pie on every particular song. And we have that slice. And so that's how. I know that sounds a little bit complicated, but essentially, like it's not very easy to buy the complete rights of every single aspect of a song because you have so many participants, and it's only like so. What if there were 10 participants in a song, and the musician, the writer of the song, he wants to sell his rights? You see, then he's selling those rights. Meanwhile, the performer at the front, they are still earning, and so is the sound engineer, etc. So at different times, different participants sometimes feel like selling, and that's what we're able to step in and buy them. So I hope that answered it.
Yeah,
so
that clarified it. Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, Barnaby. If I buy the royalty tokens today, which is up in the public sale on La Token Exchange, so can I use those tokens to buy those NFTs on your NFT marketplace?
So can you use those NFTs? So basically, so you can, yes, you'll be using those tokens to buy NFTs. That's the purpose of them. Also, as musicians wake up to the utility of the platform, and even as labels do. So as more participants come in, they'll need to buy these royalty tokens. they'll need to buy them. So at the moment, basically, this is like the whole thing is like a pre-sale so that we can generate the capital to buy more music catalogs and gain more market traction. So more participants come in and start using the platform. So it's, it's a bit of a chicken and egg kind of thing, but we've already been doing well at raising capital ourselves from the pre-sales that we've been doing, the private sales. And so as people come in now, then we'll be basically doing even more marketing, having even more musicians. We've already got some major musicians coming on. They'll be launching their NFTs. So what's really great about this from a business point of view, and tell me if you think I'm wrong on this, but basically what we love about the whole, from a purely business angle, is that as we get musicians on, they have their own fan base, right? So every musician has 50,000, 100,000, a million followers. They come and join our platform to launch their NFT. And meanwhile, we're assisting them as like a white glove service, because most musicians, they don't know how to launch an NFT. They don't know how to even produce one technically or go into production. So we help them do the mechanics, do the tech side, push out the NFT, do the tokenomics on the NFT, what price it should have, how many to produce. So we assist them with that. They push it out to their fan base. They're basically doing promotion for the whole band royalty ecosystem. The fans come and buy the NFTs. They share in the royalties. Oh, they use the royalty token. So it's like becomes a snowball that the more musicians and participants, artists that come on the platform, the more they are promoting it, because that's how they're producing their NFTs. That's how they're sharing their royalties. And so in theory, if that continues to compound, it would create increased value on the royalty token and the whole ecosystem. But tell me what your thoughts are on that.
Sounds good. Sounds great to me. So basically, it's at 20 cents on the first round, right, Barnaby?
Yes. Yep. That's right. It's at 20 cents. And so we think that's a great deal. We think that there's an opportunity here for people to come in because hardly anybody knows about any of this. And yes, we are dealing with, rather a lot of complexity. Most people still don't understand crypto. They don't understand NFTs and they don't understand the music business. But what is cool is that they know about crypto, they know about NFTs, and they know about the music business, and they want to understand them, and they want to participate in them. So there's an educational process. Like, how do we onboard people? They want NFTs, they want crypto, they want more music. Here's a combo. You can get in on this, and and what's really great is as you participate, you learn more. So now you start understanding how the music business works, and together, collaboratively, we can reinvent it. As you were saying about Amazon, they stepped in. It was still centralized, but they have reinvigorated how the whole book industry worked. As you said, we could do the same thing with music, but we can only do it as a crowd, as a team, as a group. And someone will, I don't know, is somebody going to do it, or is it going to keep on falling to the hands of the centralized group? We don't believe in that. That's what we love about blockchain and cryptocurrency, is at least the potential. We have the potential for reinventing and bringing decentralization to more people in more industries. And this one is focused around music because we know it's broken. We know people want to see change, and that we know they don't know how to do it. And so here we have a roadmap, we have a plan, and we'd love to get feedback. Could it be better? Maybe it can. If so, let's make it better.
Thank you, Barnaby. Any questions, Tobias, from you?
I think honestly, I'm pretty good. I would love to maybe connect after the show as well.
Yeah.
Great. Love that. Thanks, Tobias.
Harsh, any questions?
Not really. Much of it has been clear. I'll love to go through the white paper because it definitely sounds interesting. Once I go through that, and I'll have much more clarity regarding how the royalties are structured and everything, right? So looking forward to go through that and connect with them down the line.
Awesome. We're doing just a very slight little update to the white paper today, just on a few updates. And so how about we get everybody a copy of that, and then we'd love to have a conversation. Thanks so much, Sunny.
Sure. And Barnaby, what about the giveaways and the surprises which is coming along? You had to
share. So we want to. Yeah, we're going to have a whole bunch of T-shirts in production as well. So we want to really promote the whole band brand to everybody and get everybody excited. So we're going to be having a T-shirt giveaway as well. We've been running competitions even with our NFTs, and when we're launching the whole NFT marketplace, there's going to be some promotions around that. We just gave away some of the. We had an airdrop. We gave away some of our tokens as well. So we certainly feel like celebrating the success with everybody in different ways, but we'd love to get our brand and our T-shirts out. We know that's a very popular way of doing so. So we've got that. That's about to come out as well. So
that's
I hope that.
Pretty. Very pretty, by the way. I've seen it.
Great.
You can go to the website and have a look. I'd love to have one of those for free.
Absolutely, Sunny. Absolutely. Cool. Unfortunately, we lost Noble. I think he was, as you saw, he was in his car, so I think the reception got a bit cut off there. But so it looks like we're wrapping up, and it's been great to meet you both and to be here with Sunny. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Vani, Harsh, and Tobias. Let's just, get into the white paper and do a bit of research and get some royalty tokens before the price goes up, because obviously the price is 20 cents now. And once it starts to trade, obviously we think we're hopeful the price goes up. So let's just get them now.
Good.
All right, then. Thank you so much,
Fantastic.
and speak soon. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye. Take
Thanks for
care.
having me. It's a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Real pleasure. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.